Mute. Colin has decided that if you have a question while he is doing the presentation, you're free to ask the question. If we find that it gets a little bit, people talking over each other and too many questions, I may say, okay, from now on, you have the ability to raise your hand, which is down on the bottom of your screen. You should see a raise hand little icon.
No.
And no,
No.
okay.
There it is.
Can you see it now?
Yes, at the top of your.
Okay, well, you should everybody should have one as well.
How did you get it?
On the very bottom of my screen, I have a button that says raise hand.
Oh,
You might have to move your cursor down there to make it show up.
Yeah, slide your cursor down to the bottom of your Zoom screen and you should see mute and so on.
Yeah, I see mute, I see stop
mute.
video, participants, chat, share screen.
Well, and then
pause.
there's more. Yeah, there's more.
That's all I see.
Oh, if you click on more with the 3 dots, you get raise hand.
You should see raise hand.
Yeah.
You just have to expand your
Expand that
little icons.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see.
I have a question before we start. I have a question before we start. On my screen on the bottom, along the same line as you just mentioned, it says record. If I click on that record, will that mean that I'm recording what Colin is saying?
No. No, because
because you have to have special permission to record. So right now Colin is recording, and if you look in the left-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a little red flashing light that says recording.
Oh yes, I do.
Yeah.
So he's recording this now. All right.
Okay, I'm still not seeing.
Well, you don't need to have the raise hand because you're talking.
True.
So
Okay.
I'll try and watch.
I don't have a raised hand either.
I don't see the raised hand.
Yeah.
Okay, well
The
then
raisable hand.
we only need the raised hand if everybody is asking 15 questions all at once. So hopefully
See my raised hand?
see your raised hand. But
I have that technology.
there is the ability to find it. You just have to kind of look for it. So
okay, I got to get rid of my chat window here. How do I do that?
you just click on the chat again and it should take it away.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, got it. Okay. Okay, good.
I love it when I tell somebody to do something and they tell me I'm right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to turn this over to Colin. He's going to share a screen. If anybody has a question, feel free to ask. If it gets out of control, I will step in.
Okay.
All right. Away we go.
Okay. So I wanted to ask how many people are familiar with Affinity Photo, and I think Judith has a poll for that if you want to click yes or no. And also if you own Affinity Photo, that would be good to know as well.
So I have Affinity, but I'm brand new to it. I just got it.
I have Affinity too, but I'm also new. I'm just feeling my way around it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm also new to it as well.
Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sharing my screen here, and I just got to share it, and then I got to move all my people over. Oh yeah, no, there they go. They moved over automatically. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I just want to go through some of the menus and stuff to start, because Affinity Photo is basically, it's a program like Photoshop. So if you're familiar with Photoshop, Affinity Photo is basically the same thing, but with obviously different ways of doing things. As far as what it can do, I know maybe 5% of what it can do. I mean, there's just so much that I don't even have a clue about. And same with Photoshop. I know there's probably hundreds of ways to do the same thing as well. So I'm just going to start off. I'm going to go through through some of the icons here. So basically, like Photoshop, you have a toolbar icon on the left-hand side here. And these are the tools that you normally work with most of the time. So you have a hand to move your picture around. You have a pointer icon, which highlights this is color. You can do color, what is it? Color picker tool. You can crop here, which is basically, it's pretty simple. I like that it has little lines that come up to let you know when you're centered or offline. This one here, okay, let me just cancel that. This is your, keep forgetting, selection tool. So it's kind of like in Photoshop, you have, I don't know if it's a magic wand or whatever, but what you can do is go in and just kind of highlight what it is that you want to work on if you're going to be doing masking or exposure or any of that stuff. So let's just cancel that. Okay, we have paint bucket. These are all basically similar to what you would find in Photoshop. So we have a clone tool here as well. And one of the things that I like about Affinity, in Photoshop, you have to click and hold the thing down to get the different things, the different tools that are there. But with Affinity, you just click on this little triangle and it gives you all of the different tools that are in that one area. I'm not going to go through them all because I'll probably be using some of them as we go. Okay, so that's the left-hand side. On the top, oh, it sounds like I'm losing my voice here now. On the top, we have our
Colin, we're getting a little bit of a feedback from your mic. I don't know if you've got it a little too close, if you're too close to your, yeah.
Is that better?
It's sort of when you move, there's a bit of a ring sound that comes through. I don't know if everybody else is hearing it, but I get it on my headset.
Is the speaker on your computer?
No, I'm doing everything through the headset.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be doing that, but it might be the fan in my computer, which has been quite
No, it's
loud
when
lately.
it's when you talk. I noticed
Oh,
it, but
okay, it might
it's
be,
not just
might
go
be
ahead.
compression.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't notice it at all.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so basically on the top now, can I move my, oh yeah, I can, good. Okay, I'm gonna move this over here, which is my, okay, so along the top here, if you can see that, hopefully your share thing is not in the way. We have all the file to open files and merge and all that. We have layers, we have filters, we have, window document, typical things that we have. On the right-hand side is we have our layers panel and we have histogram. If you want to see the histogram, I can make it a little bigger here. We'll drag it out a bit. And then this little thing, when you click on this, it allows the histogram to show the full resolution of the picture. But one of the things in Affinity Photo that I really like is you have a scope, and the scope allows you to see it like a waveform, which is what they use in television to control the brightness and contrast and everything of your picture. And if I go in and I put in let's put in an adjustment here. So let's do an exposure adjustment. So now if I raise and lower this, you can see this scope changes. So the top of the scope is the brightest area and the bottom is the dark area. So if I go through, you can see that it actually changes. You can also see colors here, which is an RGB waveform. So you can actually see the color. If there's any colors, you can see it as well. And also you have RGB parade, which shows you each individual color channel. And if I, again, adjust the exposure, you'll see you can see when it clips, it goes real, you can see it when it clips there. It goes white, red, yellow, blue, or red, green, blue on top. So you can see it's like clipped there. And then also we have something else here, which is interesting, a vector scope, which if you're really into color and stuff, this will show you the colors on a wheel. And it's actually quite interesting because if you want accurate color, this will tell you if you have accurate color. I'll actually open up something. I'm just going to open something here to show you. So we have, let's see. Let's go back. Okay, so I'm going to show you a color bar. So this is quite interesting because this gives you how the difference between a waveform and a histogram. So if we go to histogram, you can see it's just a bunch of lines. You won't really have any logical kind of view of this color bar. If I go to scope, you'll see it's actually stepped. If I go to RGB, or if I go to actually parade, you can see there's actually makes some sense in what we're seeing. And if I go to the vector scope, you should see also that these bars, they line up on this wheel, and it'll tell you exactly where the color should be and what it should be. So
I presume the circles on the rays from the center, the position of the circles indicates the intensity of that particular color.
Yeah, from the center outward, yes.
So
yeah,
can you
right.
slide those circles along the ray?
Well, I would have to do an adjustment layer.
Okay.
I couldn't do it in the scope. It's the scope is only a scope. It doesn't.
Okay.
You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can do exposure again and see what it does. I don't think it's going to do anything with the vector scope. No. Anyway, so let's get rid of this.
And what do the white stars in the vector scope indicate?
Okay, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Normally you would see a line, but I think I'm used to vector scopes that we had when I was working in TV, and they actually had more of a line than the dots. So not quite sure, but anyway, I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so that's that. So we have that. We have our color wheel. So this one here is basically for your brushes and stuff. So if you go to a brush, you can obviously go to white or red, white, and you can use this to slide to change the color. Or if you want, what you can do is you can go up here and there's a wheel, and then you click on wheel and you actually have more control over the colors that you're picking, and you can pick the brightness and darkness as well. So I find this works better for, more critical kind of color work, but this one's easier to reset to. So that's your color wheel. Okay, and swatches. This is something I don't use, so I'm not going to get into it. We have our brushes here. So you have tons of brushes. You can select different brushes by going to, where'd my brushes go? So basic brushes, you got different kinds of brushes here that act differently depending if you want a more coarse texture when you're using a brush. It's quite good for that. Okay, so that's that part. Now we have our underneath here. I'll go back to the scope. Underneath here we have our adjustments. So you can use these, or we can actually go back to, we also have metadata. So this gives you metadata. We have our layers, which is here, and effects. So these are things you can add, which are actually layers, and styles. You can have all these different styles to choose from. Stock, it's not something I use. I think you have to subscribe for that. Anyway, let's go back to layers. Okay, and then we go down from there, down at the bottom here. We have our This is for masking, if you want to mask something. We have our adjustments, which I find it's easier to go here than it is to go all the way up here to my layers panel. And you can do the same things here as you can do right here for adjustments. This one is special effects, which I'm not going to get into. We have this, which is live filters. So these are all live filters, which would actually be the same as going to our layer panel here. And just I'll mention that with Photoshop, basically, if you want to do certain things, you have to create a smart object. In Photoshop or in Affinity Photo, you don't have to do smart objects because they're smart all the time. So basically, our live filter layers under layers here, these ones you can go in and you can pick whatever it is you want to do, and it'll it's live, so all the time, which means you can change it at any time. You can go back, you can do whatever you want. Anyway, I just get rid of that. Okay, so this one here, so you can group your layers, which I'm going to show a little later. This is the pixel layer, and then you can remove layers of garbage here. Now, there's a couple things I just want to point out that are really great with Photoshop or with Affinity Photo. We have a history panel here. And if you have a lot of work done, what you can do, you can go up to your file here, and you can actually save your history with your document. That means anytime you exit out, you save it, whatever you do, you can always go back and you have your full history of everything you've done to that document. We also have here, we have Navigator, which I really like. I couldn't find this in Photoshop, but this allows you to, when you're zoomed in, instead of having to go up here and grab the hand and move things around, I can just go to the Navigator and click on the box, and I can move things there without losing my tools that I'm using. So I find that really, really helpful. Transform, I really don't get into that. History, which I've gone over. Snapshots, again, I don't do that. Channels, basically it's like Photoshop. You can choose your different channels and do all kinds of weird stuff with it. 32 preview, which is 32-bit. So this program supports 32-bit photos. Info, it gives you the information of what your mouse is doing here or your pointer. So it shows you your colors and all this stuff. I have no idea about really, except I don't use it because I don't need to. One of the things I'm going to show about the layers here is that you can go into your layers panel here and you can change things. So if you want small thumbnails, you can change it to small thumbnails so that you can get more layers and you can see more of what you're doing. You can do small. Sorry. Oh, I'm clicking. I was locking the layers. Oops, don't want that either. Let's try that again. This one, that's the one I want. Okay, so small thumbnails, medium thumbnails, and we can do large thumbnails as well if you have trouble seeing them. The other thing you can do is you can also go in, and if you have a whole bunch of layers, sometimes it's helpful to actually, just a sec, let's see, where is it gone now? Okay, I can't see it now, but you can actually change the colors of your layers. So if you want one to be red or blue or a different color, you can actually do that. Back to Navigator here. History. Okay, so that's basically kind of an overview of what you've got here. You have your typical, this is like snap to, so you can snap to borders and stuff. And also, this is very important. This is one that I want to show you. In your windows here, This scope doesn't come here automatically. It doesn't show, it shows the histogram, but it doesn't show the scope. So if you want to see it, you want to go to view, you go down here, you have something called studio. And if we go to studio, you can see these are the things that we select to show on the screen. So right now I have 32, I have adjustment. So my scope is, where's my scope? It's down here. So.
Up.
There it is. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically you can turn all these things on and off. So it basically makes it less cluttered or more cluttered or however. But this is really important because if you don't find something, it's probably in here. Okay, so okay, so that's basically kind of these are layers you can hide and bring to forward and back and all that stuff. But so let's just get into some stuff now.
I got a
So
question, Colin.
sure, yeah.
A lot of these icons on the left side and I don't know, along the top, and maybe some of the stuff on the right, they change when you go into different personas. You don't get all the same stuff in the different personas.
That's true, yeah.
It-
Actually, everything changes, like even if you're using a different tool. So if I go up here, if I go to this tool, you'll notice this changes. So I now have radius and I apply to selection. I can apply global or I can current layer. So it changes depending on the tool you're using as well. So yeah, but yeah, you're right. I should go over the personas. So I will do that.
That's where I have most of my trouble, is understanding the workflow.
Yeah.
Anyhow, go ahead.
Okay, so basically, the personas are, right now I'm in photo, which is the main one that you do most of your work. When you open a document, which I will do now, I'll open a document here. Let's see. So I'll find something here that's, I just want to find something that's an NEF file. So I want to find a raw file. So I'm just going to open this up, for instance. Okay, so now what's happened is you'll see everything's changed. We're no longer in the photo persona, we're actually in the develop persona. And this is basically the same as your raw file adjustments in Photoshop and Lightroom. So basically right now we're working with raw. And what I can do is I can go in, I can change the exposure, you know, the black point, I can, you know, I can contrast. All these things are basically similar to what you'd find in Photoshop or in Lightroom. When we do our white balance, this has little boxes. If I click on that, it'll open up so that it hides when it's not being used. And then I can change the white balance. If you double click on it, I find what happens is if you change it, most of the things, if you double click on them, they will go back to their preset or their adjustment before you changed it. And so tint, you know, this is all. So, and then also we have shadows and highlights down here. So I can get rid of white balance because I don't need it. So now I'm in shadows and highlights. I can go down and adjust that. And then, okay, let's maybe leave that where it is there. Okay, and then highlights I can change, but I'm not gonna. Okay, so that's shadows and highlights. Okay, so I don't need that anymore. Profiles, this is your, basically your output profile. So sRGB, which is what we use most of the time. Okay, so now that I'm finished adjusting this, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna develop it, which is basically the same as saving it. So I just click develop, so it'll save it. It's developing it now. So it'll just take a minute. Okay, so now that I've saved it, I'm back in the photo persona. Okay, so that's the develop module. Now we also have over here, we have, let's develop, we also have, oh, cancel. I'm just gonna cancel that. We also have this, which is our, this is one for ADA, if you're there, ADA. This is called the liquefy persona. And basically the liquefy persona, I'm not quite sure how it's equivalent in Photoshop, but basically what you can do, you can go in and distort things. So I'm going to pick the pinch tool here, and I can go in. Now here we set our speed, which controls how much it does. So I'm going to crank it all the way up. Opacity, crank that up. And then I can just go in and I can distort. So this here, it's making the eye bigger. So you can see, I'm just going to hide the mesh. Okay, so now he's got a huge eye. So you can kind of see what that does. But that's, you can do all kinds of stuff. There's, you know, you can twirl things. Let me just pan out here and see. I actually never have used this, so it's probably something Ada would enjoy, but I think I need to go all the way up here. Anyway, with that, you also have here, if you want to undo, you can cancel it, or you can go in and you can just click on this, which is an eraser kind of brush, and you can go in and just go over it, and it just brings it back to normal. And you have a mesh here. You can change the color of that if you want. You know, you can make it red if you want. So it's, anyway, there's a lot of power available if you need it. Anyway, so cancel that. Okay, so that's a liquefy persona, which generally I never use. Although I'm going to start using it because, you know, a lot of people, they talk about the eyes of animals and stuff, and that it's hard to see sometimes. What you can do, you could actually make the eyes bigger if you needed to. Although I don't think that would fit in for the nature competition, but it can be done. So you can change things. What? You're watching?
We will be watching you now.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's that. Now we also have, this is tone mapping. So in here, basically this is, if you're doing HDR work, you would probably automatically go into this persona. And here, basically what it does is you can just pick, you have things here, dramatic, if I want to make it dramatic. So it actually, there's all kinds, you can black and white. And you can go in and you can adjust the compression and all that stuff too, local contrast. Anyway, this is all stuff that can be done in the tone, what they call the tone persona. Okay, and then we also have this one, which I never use. I don't know anybody that does use this, but it's called the export persona. And normally when you export something, you would just normally do it here under File and Export. But this particular one allows you to export layers or just clips, like little parts of things that if you want to, like if you, I don't know, if you were doing a magazine or something and you needed to, you know, just have one object that you wanted to export out of that photo or document, you can do that with this export persona, but it's something I never use. And to be honest, I don't use any persona. I shouldn't say I don't use any, but most of the time, all of the stuff I do is in the photo persona, which is right here. So this is where 90% of the work is going to be done. So I'm going to leave that for a minute. I'm just going to get into something else here. So I know that Andrew was asking about workflow. Basically, I mean, when you get in, you would do your developer persona. I'm not going to get so much into the workflow of each picture, but I sort of want to more show what the program's capable of and what you can do. And one of the really strong parts of Affinity Photo is the stacking capability. So what I want to do, I actually want to go in And so over here, you can see we have panorama for creating panoramas. You can do a new stack, which is just stacking whatever. You can do an HDR merge, which is basically creating an HDR. You can do focus merge, which is stacking focus. If you have shot your photos with a little bit of different focus, like say you have 10 or 20 photos and each focus point is different, it'll combine all that so that everything is sharp. So if you focus, just a few centimeters at a time, it'll stack it all and it'll all be in beautiful focus, hopefully. They've got a new thing which they've just added, which is an astrophotography stack. So you can actually now start doing star stuff in here if you want to do stacking star photos. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off, I'm just going to do the first one. So I'll start off with panorama because it's amazing. I just find this program is just so amazing. Most of my panoramas are handheld. And so when I found Affinity, I mean, I've tried doing it on Lightroom and other things, and nobody was able to do it as good as Affinity. So I'm going to go to my panoramas here. Let's see, I got some other panoramas. So let's just go down. I'm going to go down to the bottom here because this is one that I did not too long ago. It was actually I got a silver award for this one. But so this is a tree that I took with different angles. So I'll open it up. And so it loads all of your photos in here as well. So basically what you do is you just click stitch panorama. Okay, so it'll stitch it. Now, depending on your computer, some of these things take longer. So hopefully your computer is fairly up to date. Okay, so now it shows us a little bit of what it's going to look like. I just click OK. Okay, so this is what it looks like before it's rendered it. So right now it's rendering. You can see there's blurry stuff there. But when it renders, it just does such a beautiful job. Okay, so there's rendered. So you can see it's actually done a really good job of the stitching. Now, one of the things that I really like, they've added this recently, I believe, because I didn't see this before. But what I want to do now is, because we got all this blank spot on the outside here, what I want to do is I want to go in and I want to crop it. So I just click crop. Now, before I used to have to do it manually, but right now they've got some tools up here in the top. And what I can do is I can actually crop to opaque. So I'm going to click on this, and what it'll do, it'll automatically crop it to the picture area. I don't have to do anything. I just crop it and then click apply, and it's done. So that's your panorama. That's I'm just so impressed by how Affinity does stacking. It's just so good at it. Even handheld, even if it's far apart, they seem to do. As a matter of fact, maybe what I'll do is I'll open another one. Let's do another panorama. So I had some here that were kind of difficult. Let's see. I know, let's try this one. I'm going to see if this works. I'm not sure if it will, because I don't even know if this was a panorama when I was doing it. Let's have a look and see. No, that one's not part of it. Okay, so let's do these ones. I think these are, let's open it up and see what it does. Now I'll be able to tell over here whether it works or not. It should be. Okay, so it looks like it might have worked. And I know this was handheld. You can tell by the seams here, there's all kinds of seams. Let's see how good it does. It might even, I don't even know if one of those pictures might not belong. Oh, no. Actually, see? So it actually, it's quite amazing how it does that. Let me just copy to opaque, crop to opaque. Okay. Apply. Okay. Actually, it's a little dark, so I'm just going to go in and do some quick adjustments. Actually, you can go here, which I used to do, but now I'm starting to use this more. So I'm just going to do this. Let's go to shadow and highlights. Let's lift the shadows a bit here. Yeah, so, okay, you don't want to lift. So you can see in the scope here what's happening as I do that as well. I drop if you drop the highlights too much, it just washes it right out. So you can't really go too far with that. But okay, so that's that one. So the thing to remember when you're working with layers is that you always want to make sure you're clicked on the right layer, because sometimes you start doing things and nothing happens and you don't know why it's not happening, but it's not happening. So what you have to do is you have to click on the layer that you want to work on, and then you can go down and do your adjustments. So I just want to raise the exposure a bit here. Okay, so anyway, okay, so you can see this was all handheld and there is some problem here, but generally speaking, it's done a pretty good job. So I'm just going to get out of that. Don't want to save it. Okay, let me get out of that as well. Okay, so now I'm going to do some more stacking stuff. So let's do HDR merge. Okay, so I have some stuff here that actually, let me go back to HDR here. Okay, so let's just take something simple here. So these ones are all should be working. So I'll open that up. Okay, so this is an HDR. Now I'm going to leave the tone mapping on because it takes me into the tone persona. If I turn it off, it won't take me into the tone persona. So I'm going to leave that, click OK. Okay, so now it's going in here and it's aligning. I don't even know if I forgot to click there. Just so you know, there is a place to click to align and also to get rid of ghosts. If you want to, if you have people moving in the picture, then you need to get rid of the ghosts. But so it's just doing okay, so there the tone map is done. So I can, and also I believe right now we're in 32-bit. It should tell us somewhere, but anyway. So you can click on these. I'm talking black and white or here. I like the dramatic one best. So local contrast. So you can see what things do as you're playing with them. But the nice thing is you don't need another program to do it. You can do it right in Affinity Photo. Okay, so.
Did you do this HDR handheld?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you can, that's why if I go back, if I cancel this, okay, what's going on here now? Get rid of that. Okay, if I go back, HDR. Okay, so here we are. So automatically align images. You have a choice between perspective or scale, rotate, and translate. So basically, if you're tilted your camera when you're doing the HDR, this will actually correct for that. And then you have automatically remove ghosts, which I don't need to do at this point. You have noise reduction here, and then the amount of tone mapping you want to do. So I got to add some pictures first. Let's go back down, do the same ones, or let's do something different just to be different. Let's try these ones. These are all handheld. Okay, so let's add that. Oh, what's going on? That's weird. Let's make sure we got, I don't need to remove ghosts. I don't think there's any ghosts. Okay. Click. Okay. There we go. Okay, now it's going. Okay, so here we are. So it has done some tone mapping to it. Just have to wait for it to finish to get the proper, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go down to dramatic because I like that best. And then here, clamp to SDR, I assume means clamping to maybe your standard photo. I'm not quite sure about that, but so the tone compression here, we can adjust it so a little more and local contrast. We can add some contrast here if we want. And exposure, we can control the exposure.
Have you had any experience with how it deals with parallax issues in panoramas?
Yeah, it's actually, I mean, it does the best it can. If you are, I have shot, I'll actually give you an idea. I actually have one, which, anyway, so this one here, let's just cancel out of here and get rid of that. Okay, so I actually have one that I was going to, this is the one that I had the most problem with. It was handheld and there was a lot of buildings and stuff. Let's go to panoramas, there we go. Okay, so it was, where are you? Oh yeah, okay. No, it wasn't that one. Okay, I think it was here. No. Oh, it's this one. Here we go. Okay, this one here. So this was a big problem. This was handheld, and you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 photos. Okay, so let's stitch panoramas. Okay, so you can see it's quite crooked. So let's go click on it and let it render it. Okay, you can see, yeah, it's quite a bit offset, right? Okay, so it's actually done pretty good. Now, what I can do is if there is parallax problem or whatever, I could go in and just use in the photo persona, I can do the transform with, you know, like the mesh warp and stuff that you can do. So I could actually go in and straighten that way. But let's just have a look at this. I'm gonna crop to opaque. Okay, and apply. So this was the most one I had trouble with. As a matter of fact, I think there is some, the first time I did it, there was a bit of error. There were some errors in here, but it actually looks like they might have improved it. So it actually is better than it used to be. But I can go in, we have our transform here, perspective tool. I can go into perspective tool. I can show grid. Okay, and then I can go in and I can, you know, change it, you know, whatever needs to be done, I can do that. But yeah, so yeah, you can do it afterwards, but it's I think it does an amazing job. Okay, let's get out of here. Get rid of this. Oh, okay. So now let's go and do something else. Let's go to, okay, I'm going to do a new stack because I want to show something about this. You can get a neutral density effect without having to have a neutral density. If I can remember how to do this now, it's been a while. Add. Okay, let's.
How long have you been using Affinity?
I've been using it probably since it first came out on a PC. It first came out for Macintosh. And so the Macintosh was their sort of the preferred computer, you could say. It also is available for iPad. If you have an iPad, you can actually get it for iPad as well. But I use Windows, so as soon as it came out for Windows, I bought it. So it's
Was there a reason that you chose this over the other paint programs that are available?
Yeah, because what I wanted really was Photoshop, but I was determined not to be having to spend, you know, $10 or $15 a month to own Photoshop. And I had bought Lightroom. I bought the last version of Lightroom that was standalone that you don't have to pay for. So I really did not want to go on a monthly plan, and I wanted something that was similar and did as much. And Affinity Photo came up, and I was just sold right away. It was quite, yeah, it was. I was amazed by what it capable of. Now I'm going to look. Oh yeah, waterfall here. Okay, so what I want to do. So let's take. Well, let's start here first. I'll do this one first. Okay, I want to open this. Okay, so this is a new stack. So line images. Spec. I'll just leave it there. I don't know if it makes much of a difference actually, but I'm not sure what live alignment does, but I'm curious now what this does. Let's see what it does. Okay, appears like it does nothing. Okay, maybe I'll have to. It's been a long time since I've done this, so try it again. Okay, here we go. Okay, perspective. Okay. Okay, so actually it's already done it. So what you can see, I don't know if there's a way, yeah, there is. Okay, so what I can do, if I unclick here, I can click one on each one of these. I should be able to. Oh. Okay. Okay, so what it's done now, I'm trying to show here. I go to the individual one. Okay, one thing you can do on layers here is you can click on one layer, go down, and then hold the shift key down and click, and it'll select all the layers. And then I can uncheck them all at the same time. And then to get back, I just click outside and then let's click one. Okay, so what you can see here, okay, let me just click. You can see if I click one that, you know, it's got a nice shutter speed effect, but if you want to make it more, so what I would do is go down here. Hopefully this is going to work. If I shift click, okay, and then turn them all on, you should see a difference if you look here at the water. Yeah, you see how it softened it? So that's basically what it's doing, is stacking all the different images and creating a neutral density effect, which is like basically slowing down the water so that you can actually get a more creamy, smooth look to it. So, okay, I'm gonna get out of this now. Let's try another one. No. Okay, so let's get out of here. Okay, so let's go in and new stack again, add. Okay, so let's try this one, which is up close. So this was a bunch of shots. I don't know if you remember this. This was the trip we did to Squamish a few years ago as a group. I think Wes was there and Eric was there. Okay, so let's do that. I'm just gonna align this way. Okay, add it. Okay, why does it do that? That's interesting. Oh, okay, there it is. Okay, so click OK. Okay, so here we have the stack. This is obviously with everything already smoothed out, but let's unclick this so you can see. Okay, well, let's go up. Let's see if I can find another one that's a little better to. Okay, there we go. It's a little better. Okay, so now if I hit Control and hit this one, it highlights it, and then we can select all, and it should change it to a much smoother. Yeah, so you can see it smooths everything out. So that's an example of how to do neutral density stacking. Okay, so let's get out of here now. Okay, now, okay, so I think panorama, we've done all that, HDR, done that. There is also focus merge, which I talked about. I don't have any stacked focus. I don't have any stacked focus photos, so I can't show you, but I might play a video later. If you want to see a video, I can show you that. Anyway, okay, so now let's get into some masking. So let's see. So what I want to do, let's see what we got here. Okay. Well, actually, let me do this first. I'm going to go to this photo because I think I've already got it here. So if we go over here, let's do some. So this one here, this I shot not that long ago. I think it was out in Langley, I think actually. So what I've done with this, you can see it looks not too bad right now, but if I unclick this layer, you'll see there's a bunch of other ducks in there. So these I had to remove. And one of the things that works really well in Affinity Photo is object removal. And with, why did that change? That's interesting. Anyway, with object removal, basically there are different ways to do it. So what you can do is down here, we have something called in-painting brush, which I'm not sure, what's the name of your tool in Photoshop, Wes, that you use to get rid of stuff? Is Wes there? I can't hear you, Wes.
Content aware.
Oh.
Fill with content aware.
Content aware, okay. So basically in Affinity, you have one tool which is called in-painting and does the same thing. So we can do this two ways. So one way is I can go in and to change the size of the brush, I just use the left and right bracket, which I think is the same in Photoshop.
Right.
Yeah, so basically I can change the size of the brush. Okay, and then I just go in and I paint. So I go in, oh, okay, so this is a perfect example of why nothing's happening. I'm painting here, nothing's happening. The reason is because I'm in my exposure adjustment. I'm not in my background. So if I click on my background here, now if I go in and paint, it'll actually get rid of it, just like that. So that's one way to do it. So the other way I can do it, if I undo that, is I can go and I can use a selection tool, which is, let's see, let's go up here. So let's do freehand selection tool. Okay, and I can go in, and one of the things when you're doing this, actually, no, it's not in this case, but anyway. So what I want to do is just paint around. Okay, and then now I know we have feather up here as well as refine. These are all things you can do, but hopefully this is going to work without having to worry too much about that. Oh, I kind of messed that up. So let's actually, I think you have to do one at a time. I don't know if I can do two at a time, but let's just go in here. Okay. Okay. And then if I feather it, I wonder if I can. Let me just see. Does that do anything? No. Okay. So now that I've selected it using a selection tool, I can go up to, I believe it is an edit or document. No, it's an edit. Edit. And just go down and hit in paint. And it'll remove the object as a selection. So it just takes a minute to do it here. So it's basically trying to figure out what matches. But most of the time, so actually, yeah, it's done a pretty good job. So most of the time, and then just deselect to get out of that. So most of the time, I actually just use the brush, but maybe selection might be more accurate. I'm not sure. So it's reading everything around it. So it actually, what it did was it actually got rid of the duck, but it kept the shadow. So really, I should have highlighted this as well. So what I can do without having to go back and do it over again, I would just take the in-painting brush and I would go in here and just paint this. So just like that. And it's not too bad. I mean, you can work on it, but you know, it's not too bad. And then over on the other side again, let's see if the in-painting does it different than the other one. And one suggestion, and I'll go in and get rid of this too. One suggestion when you're using something like this, like an in-painting brush, I always make sure my hardness is at 0, because if you're, which is the softest, if you make it really hard at 100%, you're going to see lines and stuff. So it actually, if you do all your object removal with 0 feathering or 0 hardness, you won't see the seams where it's done it. So, and then we'll go down. Let's do this one here now. Why isn't it? Okay, so I gotta, okay, let's just, okay, so it's not perfect, but you know, you get the idea. And then what I can do, I have my history here. Now, I think in Photoshop, you have a history, a tool that you can use to to erase everything that you've done, but that's kind of destructive. So what I can do here, I can just go down here instead of having to go up here and go, undo, 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 like, 20 times. I just go down here, I grab this, and I just go right back to the start. And we're back to where we started. And then I can save this file. So I'll save the history with the document. And now, even if I exit out of the program, so now, okay, I should explain this. What happens is when you use the history, if you go back to the beginning and then you change something, your history starts all over again. So you're not going to be able to go back to where you were unless you don't change anything. In other words, the history will pick up where you left off. So anyway, so that gives you an idea on that. So there's a couple of things I've been doing lately, which let's see. Here's this one. So this is kind of a shot that in painting can really help. So we got this, there was actually, I don't know, some kind of a tower or log or something that was in there. And in this case, I'm going to use my selection. Well, actually, no, what I'm going to do, if I hold it down here, I'm going to use my rectangular marquee tool. And I'm going to see if I can draw approximately where, actually, let me go back. Let's start here. And I kind of want to get rid of that, whatever that is. I'm not sure what it is. But anyway, let's go to edit, the in paint. And so that's done a pretty good job. So let's Control and D for deselect. And actually, there's a little bit of a seam or something there. So I'll just go in. I'll decrease my brush size here. And I think just a bit of a seam here. Just get rid of that. So it kind of blends in, not too bad. Now maybe while we're here, I could go into sharpening because this photo is not that sharp at this point. So if you want to do sharpening, there are noise reduction. Generally, sharpening is the last thing you do. But what I want to do is I want to sharpen the bird. I don't want to sharpen everything outside here because, you get a lot of, as a matter of fact, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to show you something. What I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight what I want to keep. And I'm going to select my selection tool. I'm going to shrink it down here. And this is what I'm going to tell you. When you're using the selection tool here, or what you do is if you click on soft edges, it actually does a really good job on the edges of whatever it is that you're selecting. And it almost replaces refine, which I'll also show you. But right now, I'm just going to select this. So, Affinity is really good at selecting. I know Photoshop, they have that little rectangular tool and you can select your object, but I think it's just as fast doing it this way. Like, there are some things here. I just shrink my brush down and just kind of get the outline here. And probably I want to do so I'll go to my navigator here and I'll go down. I'll probably do the post too, just because it's part of the picture. So, okay, let's go in here, shrink it down even more. I could just highlight his little toe here. I mean, you can go extreme if you want, and you know, make sure that everything's the way it's supposed to be. Anyway. Oops. Okay, so, okay, we have a selection. So it's kind of a rough selection. The first thing I'll show you is refine. So, oops, there's a spot here I missed. So actually, I'm going to leave that because I'll show you with refine. If you miss a spot, what you can do is when you're in the selection tool, you have the option here to refine it. So I'm going to click refine. So what that allows you to do is go in and correct anything that's missing. So what's happened here is that this part here has actually been selected. So what I can do, I think if I unselect it, this part here, yeah. Okay. Okay, and then if I wanted to mask this so that I can use it as an object in another photo, I could just down here in the selection, select mask or mask blur. But right now I don't want to do that. I just want to apply the refine to. Okay, so there's let's just fix this. Okay, anyway, fix this. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, so what I want to do is I want to get rid of the noise. So there is a lot of noise here. You can see it when you zoom in. I'll go to my layers. I'm going to actually go to my layers here, go to my live filter layers. Click on that. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to denoise. So we have denoise right here. Click on that. Okay, I'll zoom in a bit. Okay, so luminance noise is the main thing that you want to get rid of. And make sure that it's not doing anything. Nope, it's probably because I'm not, well, no, I was
I
on there.
reduced the noise on the owl, but not the background.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Yeah. Okay. So I forgot a step. So what I want to do, let me just fix this a bit. What I want to do is actually invert the selection. So what I do, I can either go up to my select here and I click on invert selection. And then it'll do the opposite of what it was doing. Okay, so now I can go to my live filter layers and denoise. Okay, move that over here and we can add quite a bit. Okay, so you can see it's silky smooth now. So I don't know if you always want it that smooth. Let me just go down. Okay, so you can see the noise there now. As I increase it, you'll see the noise disappears. Okay. Okay. If you want to mute your mic and if you're going to yawn or whatever, can you mute your mic? Okay, so we've done that now. So now we've got rid of the noise. Okay, again, I want to invert the selection now. So go to select and invert it again. Okay, and now I can go in, click on background because that's what I'm working on. And now I can go in and do live sharpening. Okay, so we'll go up here to, let's see, where are you? Sharp clarity. Should be in here somewhere. Noise, noise. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I have a choice. There's two ways to do this. I'll show you both. Unsharp mask is normally the way I do things. So we'll go in here. I'll just zoom in just a bit here so we can, oops. Radius, I don't want that much radius. So usually around 1 pixel or so works. Okay, so your factor is what controls how much sharpening. So oh, what have I done wrong? Oh, no, it should be working. Yeah, it is. So if I click on the unsharp mask, yeah, you can see big difference. Okay, so that's too much, but you can go in and adjust it to what you think. And you also have a threshold thing here, which I believe controls what gets sharpened. So actually, with the threshold at 0, everything in the selection will be sharpened. But if I back off here, everything that's in the selection gets sharpened. So let's leave it at that for now. But so that looks pretty good. So basically, that's sharpening and noise reduction. Okay. There's something I want to show you, which is quite neat. Let's just see if I have something here. This one here. Okay, I've already done something with this one. The eyes. So in this case, the original photo, this eye was really dark, and I just wasn't happy with it. So what I did with this, I've already done it, but I can give you an idea of what I've done. I do a recolor adjustment, which, well, actually, no, I don't want to do that. Exposure. Okay, brightness. Let me just see. Yeah, so that's what I highlighted the eye and I did a brightness adjustment on it. But the other thing I did with this is I actually swapped this eye over to this eye. And you can actually look, if I click the pointer here, you can see that if I move this now, you can see it's actually an eyeball. And there it is without the eyeball. So I'm just going to undo that.
Pupil.
What's a pupil? Yes. Thank you. Anyway, so I think it works pretty well. Now I'm going to show you on another photo. Just, I don't want that right now. Well, actually, maybe this one. This is a good one. So the eye on this guy is very dull. This was taken just actually last week when we had that big snowfall. And I was really fortunate to be able to get this guy in the snow. So, so what I'm going to do is for eyes, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do a recolor adjustment on the eye. So I'm going to go to my adjustments here. I'm going to go to recolor up here. Okay, so now I've got a red mask. To get rid of that, all you have to do is invert it. So I'm going to click Control I to invert the mask, and then you're back to normal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a paintbrush, go over here, and select the size that I want. Okay, and I'm going to go in really tight. And I'm going to paint in here. Now, one of the things that I really like about Affinity, like right now, you can't see anything, but this brush pointer, if you look carefully, as I go in here, oh, I lost my, just a sec. No, I haven't. Anyway, you should be able to see it. Why aren't I seeing it? This brush is always live. It shows you what you're doing before you do it. I don't know why it's not showing me right now. Let me just go in. I'm just going to see if this works because.
Are you on the right?
Yeah, I'm on the right layer. Oh, no. Recolor. Yeah, recolor. You're right. Are you? Is that a brush? That's the brush tool. Yeah. Oh, I got to go to color. Oh, I have to select white. So just like Photoshop, I think white shows and black hides, or the other way around. I can never remember. But now, if we look, where are you? Let's go to the brush. Okay, I got to go to white because that's going to add. And then if I go over here, no, again, Why is it not showing? It should be showing me the mask. Let's see if I paint here. No, see, the mask is gone. Okay, let's get rid of this. Sorry about this. You know, we're always learning as we go. I'm gonna delete that and try again. Okay, so there we got background. Okay, edit, undo. Okay, let's go to the history here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, history. That's faster. Back to navigator. Okay, zoom back in. One way to quickly zoom in, if you want to fill the frame, is just double click with the hand and it goes right to the full size. And then let's go back in. Okay, now this should work. Let's try this again. Okay, go into my adjustments. No, adjustments. Okay, recolor. Okay, now control invert. Okay, now go to my brush. Okay, go to white.
Wrong layer again.
Yeah, that's weird.
There you
No,
go.
it's, yeah, oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so now you can see it. Thank you. Okay, so now you can see as I move this here, it's hard to see, but it actually is showing red. So I'm going to just paint this anyway. So let's just paint it. So I'm going to paint this. Okay. Try and make it neat here. So what I want to paint is I want to paint the outside. I don't want to paint the pupil because it's supposed to be black. Okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, so then what I want to do is I want to go in. First of all, I want to make a group of it. So I'm going to click this and do a group. Okay, so now I got a group and I'm going to change the name. This is something you can do with layers. I want to change this to eye color. So I'm going to name it eye color. Whoops, I'm in caps here. Okay, let's go to eye color. I'll do the American way. Okay, so now I've grouped this and you can see it's there. So what I want to do is I want to change the color. Obviously, I don't want them to have a red eye. So what I can do is go into the hue here and get it as close to what I want. So I can sort of a yellowish look and then reduce the saturation. So I can reduce the saturation so it doesn't look garish. And then also we can lighten it down here as well. So I can lighten it. And let's just see how that looks when we zoom out. Okay, so that's with it on, and that's, so you can see that really nicely lights up the eye. Now the other thing sorry, somebody was going to say something. The other thing that you can do, which also works in Photoshop, is whenever you have something selected, and you go and you select and you deselect whatever it is you selected, instead of having to go in and reselect again, what you can do is just hold the control key down, or the command on Mac, I guess, and you just click on the item that you've masked, and it comes up and it will actually show you, it'll show you your selection. And then to get rid of it, you just click deselect. So that's very handy if you need to reselect really quickly. And obviously, if I want to go in here, now I can also add some other adjustments. I can do brightness, curves, whatever I want to do, but it doesn't need much in this case. So, and if you ever want to get back to do your adjustment, this is why Affinity is always live. So what I can do is just, somebody's got their phone on or something. Oh, that's me. Why am I hearing myself? This sounds weird. Okay. What was I saying now? I can't talk with that echo. Has somebody got a speaker on? Sorry. Judith, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here and I can hear it as well, but I
yeah.
can't figure out who it's coming from.
Oh, can you maybe just
Now,
mute everybody for a minute?
It seems to have stopped now. Has it
Oh,
stopped?
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
it stopped.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so what I was going to say, anyway, everything's live all the time. So if I want to go in and change things, I can just double click on the layer and it comes up and it gives me it actually gives me whatever that layer adjustment is. So you can always go back and do your adjustments. Let's see. Okay, let's do something else. This one here is, I did an object. I took a photo, I took a number of photos of this guy and I cloned him in one position and then added him. And I'll just show you how we can do that kind of thing. Just have a look. So I need a landscape or something. Let's see, find something here. Okay. Let's have a look.
Sure. Please.
Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to, okay, here's something. It's not a very good example, but actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to just try something here. I think this was, just got to check. I want to find something that I can change the sky on. Okay, I'm going to do two things here. I'm going to do this. So this is, actually cancel this. Okay, I'm going to do a panorama here. Okay, this is one I haven't. You can also, when you're doing panoramas, you can do them vertically. It doesn't have to be horizontal. So in this case, I didn't have a choice. I had to do it vertically. So I did this shot here and this shot here. So these two, and again, this was handheld. I'm going to open that up and then stitch. Okay, I'm going to stitch that together. Okay, so you can see that's a vertical panorama, which actually turned out quite nice. Okay, so now I'm going to crop that again, crop to opaque and apply. Okay, so this sky is just a blue sky. Let's see if I can find something else to put in there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my selection tool, and what I want to select is everything that's not sky. So I need a bigger brush here. Oh, got to go back to this one. That's the one I want. Okay, so basically everything down here, just want to select and then go up here. Let's just kind of do this quickly. Okay, and if you want to undo your selection, you just hit the Alt key and paint over where it's gone too much or not enough. So this here, I want to, okay, so let's just go in here and.
Can I ask if it'd be easier to select the sky and like use a contiguous brush that only the.
Actually,
you know.
Yeah, actually, you have a very good point. Actually, what I don't even have to do this. What I can do, if I deselect here, control deselect, I can go into my layers here or selection here, go down here, and I can go to color range or tonal range. So if I go to color range and select blues, okay, so now what's happened is it's selected blues, but not the blues I want. So what you should be able, I should be able to just click on here to, let's see, just,
Yeah, in Photoshop, it's called Magic Wand. It'll select a color range based on where your brush is.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, this also, maybe I need to use the control. I can't remember. Okay, I did it as a, why is it showing as a mask?
Looks like you could invert that.
Yeah, I could. That's true. You're right. Actually, very good point. Let's try that. Select, invert. Okay, no, still staying
I
where
think
it is.
maybe it's already inverted.
Yeah. Let's just deselect that. I'm just going to see if I can do this a faster way. I can also do it by tonal range as well. Actually, let's try that. Okay. Sorry about this. I should picture, really, I should do a different picture that doesn't have as much in it. Would probably be easier. But I'm going to see if I can do it by tone range and see if that helps. Let's see, midtones. Yeah, again, that's not really helpful. I'm just going to cancel that. Control D. Okay. Let's just do it.
It actually has picked that blue. It's picked the blue.
Yeah, I did that already and it didn't work. So I'm just gonna do it real quick here. Just to get an idea. Actually, I'm gonna go to refine. Let's go to refine here. Okay, so now what I can do is just take the brush here and just color what I want. So I think if I want to include this, I have to color it like so. Okay, and I want to get this in here. And let's go ahead and get this here. Okay. Okay, I don't know how this is going to work, but anyway, it's just to give you an idea of how to do it anyway. So, okay, let's just try that and see. Okay, so what I want to do now is go to my refine selection and I want to, let's do a new layer. Okay, apply. Where's my new layer? Oh, there it is. Okay. So what I want to do is, actually, I did that wrong. Let's see if I can, I just want to go and grab something here. Open, okay, I'll grab, because I should have some skies here somewhere. I think so, yeah, so here, let's just go with this one. Okay. Okay, if I select this and copy it, edit, copy. I can also, there's other ways of doing this, but let's just go back over here, edit, paste. Okay, so now I want to take this and hide it under here. So actually, let's Yeah, anyway, this is not the way I wanted it to look, but generally it's pretty, I'm doing it the hard way because I picked a really bad picture to do this. Yeah, anyway, you get the idea. It's not the best way to do it. If I actually had something better, I'm sure I probably do. I'm going to leave the clouds there and let's see if I can find something else. Open. I just need something with some sky. Landscape. Let's look in panoramas. I might have something in here that's going to work. Yeah, actually, let's just do this. I'm going to try this one, even though it's already got a nice sky. So this has a great sky already, but just to give you an idea of how it works. So let's try this again now. We'll select, do a quick selection here. Okay. Okay, and then refine that. Okay, go over and just increase my brush size here and paint in some of these areas here. Yeah, so, and the buildings here. And maybe this here, some of these here. Let's just see if that works. Okay, so now I'm going to selection. I'm gonna create a mask this time. Let's do a mask, apply. Okay, so now I'm gonna go over, actually I don't even need to, but go to my other shot here. And again, so edit, copy. Okay, go back to my other shot here. Edit, paste. Okay, so now what I gotta do is I gotta highlight the cloud here. So you can see it doesn't fit, it's too small. So what I can do, I'll just go in and drag it to what I want here. Okay, so just start there. Okay, so now because the clouds are on the top of the layers, that's going to be a main thing. If I drag it into the background or into the, let's see, just set, take my background layer and drag it into my mask. Oh, got to drag it into here. Come on. Why isn't it working?
Because people are watching.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
I think you need a copy of your background that you can put above your cloud layer.
Yeah, I need to move. What I need to do is I know I need to move the layer so that maybe move this down here. Oh, move this down here. Oh, move it there. No, move it right to the top. Oh, interesting. Okay, I've done this before, so it does work. I just don't know why. I haven't done it using the mask the way I just did. Normally I do it a different way, but isn't that interesting? Why isn't that? So that's my background. No, that's my background here. Let's see if I drag that down here.
Colin, I think your background, the sunset part.
Yeah.
Is the visibility is turned off, right?
Oh yeah, right. Gotcha. Thank you. You're right. And then if I move the mask up, let's see if that does it. Oh, they're all selected. That's why I have to unselect here. Let's see. Oh. That's the background. So the cloud should go above the background or under the background. That's what I'm trying to figure out. For some reason, they're all grouped together here. This is locked. Let's unlock it. Yeah. That shouldn't be that hard. Sorry about this, folks. I have done it before. It's just for some reason it's fighting me today. It's
And
because
assure
of the
you,
mouse.
it's probably worse for you than it is for us, Colin.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know there's, let's just maybe come back to that. I'll try something different now. I want to show,
Colin, do you have much more because we're running
oh,
out
we're
of
running
time?
out of time? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I'll speed it up then. I was going to show something that, see if I got it here. I thought I had it here. I was going to show just kind of a object removal and object replacing an object, which actually is similar to doing the sky. Let's see. I'm going to go to, thought I had one here. Okay, I must have closed it. This is something, just an experiment here, but it's something with lighting, and you can actually go in if you're creative. And where's my lighting? I'm not gonna, no, that's not it. Here it is. Lighting. You can actually go in, and if you have a lighting, like you want to create a dramatic effect, you can actually go in and you can go in and highlight things like a spotlight, and you can control the distance, and it's really neat to play with. But anyway, I'm not going to get into it now, but it's something fun to play with. Okay, I'm just going to open something here just to. Where's my? Okay, I had something here earlier. Let me just try something else. One thing that Affinity has is you can open your recent files. If you go to recent, it'll no, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Anyway, I had something here that had a cloned object in it. Let's see if I can find it here. Okay. Okay. Let's just go on this one. Open this again. So basically, if you want to place objects, what you can do, it's this one should be simple, hopefully. So I can take, for instance, this bird. I highlight it. Okay, and I want to get just this guy. So let's, now if I unclick these other backgrounds, whoops.
Well, you got him somewhere.
Yeah, let me just try that again. I find that if you're working just on one layer and you deselect the layers that you're not working on, oh, it's already masked. Okay, so just take it and let's just do a quick selection. I don't know if this is going to work. I'll try it. Actually, let's try copying it. Edit, copy. Okay, go over to, I was going to go to another picture here. I think the first one. Okay, so I can actually, should be able to paste it in here. Edit, paste. Yeah, okay, so you can actually take objects and you can move them around. So now I've got him and I can go in here and I can put him in here as maybe harassing the duck or something, I don't know. So, but you can take objects and you can place them in. And the nice thing with Affinity Photo is this is always live. So it's like a smart object all the time. So what I can do is if I closed out of here and came back in, like, well, same thing. If I came back in, it's always there. If I click the hand, he disappears. So now it moves as one object. But if I click I call it the pointer. What do they call it? The select move tool. So the move tool, and I can always shrink him or move him wherever I want. And then also you can go in and you can do adjustments on that as well. So if I wanted to do some like exposure or bright, let's see, exposure adjustments, you can go in, move him. Where'd my exposure adjustment go? Okay, here. You can go in and you can, oh, it's doing everything. So what I have to do in that case is I have to move this under here or there as a child layer. Okay, try again. There we go. Now we have control over the selection. So anyway, that's something you can do as well. So I just wanted to point that out. And if I click on it again, I can, and this is always live. So always you're able to change it. I was going to mention one other thing. If it's important, if you're working with a lot of layers and you want to export it or save it, I always usually merge visible because sometimes when you export it, parts will be missing. So if I go now and I click on here, I can merge visible. If I merge visible, it'll come up with a pixel layer and I'll just change the name to merge visible. Merge visible, merge visible. Anyway, so now I can uncheck all these other ones. Hold down the shift key here and uncheck these and go back up here. And now this is flattened so that you can export it. Now, if I tried to click and move him, I can't because it's one solid, it's one whole picture. It's just one single photo and you can't change it, but you still have the other layers. If you want to change it, you can just uncheck this and go in here and check these. And then you're back to where you were and you can select it again. And it's always live, so you always have it. Oops, just edit, undo. So I missed something here. Okay, let's get out of that. Yeah, there it is. So now we're back. We have control over this again. So no matter what you do, it's always live. Anyway, maybe I'll stop there. I know it's getting late and probably people have questions maybe. Do you guys have questions that you want to ask or?
Colin, if you did something in it and you completely, like, oh, I don't want to do that. What was it that you did? You deselect or something? What did you like? If you didn't like what you did and you wanted to start over again, how would you?
History. I would do everything in history, just go right back to the beginning.
Ah, okay.
Or
okay.
go back to just in front of, just above the area that you wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
That you
Yeah,
were
you
working
stop
on.
where you want. Yeah, you stop
Okay.
where you want. You
Right.
have all of the things that you've done. But just remember, once you go back, as soon as you make another adjustment, you've lost all this.
All the stuff.
You've lost
Okay.
all the stuff you've done before. So you might want to save it as a different, just save it as. So go save
Right.
as, and
Now-
then it'll be a separate document.
But what I meant was like, let's say you were removing something and then
Yeah.
you went, oh, I didn't want to remove that. How would you backtrack? How would you say,
Okay.
oh, you know what
Well,
I mean?
there's different ways of doing that. One way is, and there is a video on this, you can, with the in-painting brush, if you're using the in-painting brush to remove stuff,
Right.
what you can do, you can set it up so that it's non-destructive as a separate layer. So the in-painting would be a separate layer. So that's one way of
okay.
doing it. The other way to do it, which I always do, is let's just get rid of these for a sec. What I do, I always duplicate my layer. So this is my working layer. If I uncheck it, that's my original.
Oh, and that's your, okay.
So I have this one, which I duplicated. The first thing I did was duplicate it. And that way I know I always have a backup if I screw anything up really badly and I
And you can
can't
go
fix
right
it.
back to your original.
And you can go back to your original that way. So it's not destructive. Yeah. But
Okay.
then if
So when you come to the end of your processing, what do you have? You have your original raw file that you haven't touched, I assume. And then what else do you have? What else are you saving?
It depends. Like, I mean, if you're in your, like right now, let's say, okay, I want to save this. Okay, so I click it, that has all the adjustments. What I would do is I would export it. First, I would save it. So it saves it as an Affinity photo file. And then you save all your layers. You keep all your layers. But if you want to export it, what you do, go to File, and down here, it has a very good exporting facility. So you click Export, it comes up. And this is another tip. When I export, I had a problem with Lionsgate with the projector. My pictures were never sharp enough. And so in Affinity Photo, one of the things you have here is a preset, which I've made myself. But when you resample the photo by either bilinear, bicubic, nearest neighbor, and it affects when you're resizing. So for Lionsgate, we have to change the size to 1400, right? So I change the size to 1400. And then it'll automatically, because this is locked, it'll automatically change the aspect ratio on the vertical without me having to do anything. So I just click on one of these. Okay, so you see it's now changed it to 933. Now, the thing that I find in Affinity, which is really good, I don't think Photoshop has this, but you have a resampling here. And what I find is this one, you have Lancos 3 separable and Lancos 3 non-separable. I always use the non-separable because it retains the sharpness. It retains it more than any other resizing tool that I've used. So once you've done that, you can apply it to the whole document or a section. Anyway, go ahead.
But you actually have to save, in addition to your raw file, you're saving the end product as well.
Yes, I'm exporting it. So, I mean, I have the file, but the file is not going to be any good for Lionsgate. So if I want to save it and send it into Lionsgate, I have to change the size of it. So I change it here to 1400 and it automatically selects the vertical without me having to do anything.
Right, right.
Okay, and then, and it's JPEG. Now up here you can see we have PNG, we have GIF, we have TIFF, Photoshop, PDFs, SVG. We have all these different formats, but always do JPEG and always make sure it's sRGB as well. and then we apply it to the whole document. And then I just click on export and it'll give me another place to save it. You can change the title down here. So this was, I'm just gonna add duck just so I know what it is.
But you wouldn't use sRGB if you were going to go out to a printer.
No, if you're going to a printer, you would use whatever format that they recommend.
Probably use TIFF rather than JPEG as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
Colin,
this thing, yes.
sorry. Colin, you carry on finishing. I wanted to ask you a question after you finish this statement.
Okay. This has all kinds of stuff for printing as well. If you want to get into colors and stuff, there's it has a printer profile that you can into, and there's actually a layer in here somewhere where you can, I'm just not sure where it is, but document, resize, convert format. So you can assign an ICC profile. So here you have all like sRGB, Adobe, Apple. So it has printers listed here as well. And I was using Costco for a while, and I had the Costco file in here. And you can actually assign any of these things and it'll use that color format. So it's a very powerful program. I mean, you can just do anything. And if you have questions, if you own the program and you're not sure about something, if you go to help, you go to tutorials, and I'll just, let's see, I'm just gonna, because you guys can't see this right now. So if I go to screen sharing here, let's see, new share. Okay, let me see. If I go to, where am I?
Most people in the group, do they use Photoshop or the equivalent of Photoshop rather than Lightroom?
I guess that would be a question for everybody that's on tonight. I use Lightroom. Pardon?
It's pretty much a mixed bag.
I think we're about almost 50-50. I use Lightroom.
Yeah. So just so you know, I don't do all my editing in Affinity Photo. I start with Lightroom, and then in Lightroom, let's see if I can show you here. Right now, I think I'm showing you some. Okay, you should be seeing the tutorials here, right? Can you see them?
Yep.
Right.
Okay, yeah. So these are excellent. Affinity has done a really good job of putting together these tutorials that cover so much, and they're really good. They really help you learn the program. The other thing I was going to show, let's see, new share. Okay, I want to go back to, I was going to go over here in Lightroom. Okay, so now you should be able to see I'm in Lightroom here now. And basically what I do when I'm, just hang on a sec.
So you have your Lightroom originals, and you're only using Affinity for this as a paint program.
Well, it's more than paint for sure. I mean, I use it I use it for a lot of stuff, but the one thing that I can do with Lightroom is if I go on a picture and I click on it, I can go into edit here and I have all these choices. So I have Photoshop, I have Affinity Photo, which I can go to from Lightroom, and I have all these other things that I can do as well from Lightroom. And that's usually my process. But if you use Affinity Photo from Lightroom, you will lose the history when you save your history with a document. So if you open up a document and try to save the history, it won't save if you're running it from Lightroom. You have to run it from an Affinity Photo directly.
Are you saying it won't save the Affinity changes, or it won't save the Lightroom
Lightroom.
history?
No, it won't save the, if you're running from Lightroom, like if I, okay, let me try that again. Okay, so I'll show you. So what I do, okay, let's get rid of this. Okay, let's go back to Lightroom here, because I think you're still seeing Lightroom, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let me go back here. Let's go to, let's just go down here. No, that's not what I want. Anyway. Okay, so I'm in a picture here. So what I can do is go to Edit, go to Affinity Photo. If I click on it, it'll bring up, it says Edit Copy with Lightroom Adjustments. So it will edit a copy. It won't edit the original, which I like, because that saves your original. The only thing is, when you do that, Affinity cannot save the history like it can if you open it from Affinity. So you know what I mean now?
Oh, yeah, gotcha. So you
Yeah.
close Lightroom and then reopen it in Infinity.
Yeah, you can open it, but if you open it through Lightroom, you won't be able to save the history like you can if you open it directly from Affinity.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so.
You know what the best part of Affinity is? All of this is available right now for $34.99 Canadian.
Yeah, yeah,
It's an
that's
incredible
true.
bargain.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. And it does,
Which
and
you could get GIMP or Critter for free for some time. So that's
yeah,
really
but it's not
a
gonna,
deal.
it's not gonna do anything like this though. The other thing, what was I gonna say? Oh, the other thing about Affinity is that I find it is so much easier to use. I've tried doing things in Photoshop and even just using the magic wand thing or whatever. It just is a pain. I just can't. And this to me seems more logical. Like everything is pretty straightforward. You know, you don't have to go bending backwards to try and do something, except if you're trying to do a sky layer like I was and I screwed it up. But
Colin, I've got a question from Roberta. She's asking that if you open it if you open it in Affinity rather than through Lightroom, does that
Yes.
not screw up your Lightroom catalog?
no,
No, it
no.
doesn't.
The thing is, okay, what I would do if you want to do that and you want to save your history, I would go into Lightroom. I would export the Lightroom photo that you want to work on into a folder on your desktop or into a folder, and then open Affinity and then use Affinity to open the photo in that folder. That way you're working with the original photo and you don't have to worry about it not saving the history. As far as I know, the main thing is the history doesn't get saved. You can do all the other things, but generally speaking, the history is not saved when you use Lightroom. Any other questions?
Yes, I had a question. It's a
Okay.
very simple one, and it's nothing to do with these particular programs, but way back in the good old days, I remember Murray, or it may have been Wes, said to me that sharpening is not a cheap way of trying to improve an out of focus photograph. And I'm sure that's still true. But what
Yeah.
is sharpening? What
Well,
I couldn't see when you were showing sharpening, I couldn't see what it was doing.
oh, okay. Well, sharpening, it basically adds contrast to the edges. So it kind of, it looks like it's sharpening, but we now have topaz, and that's really changed the game. So with topaz now, and this is something else with Affinity, I'll just show you real quick. If I go to my filters here, we have plugins. are you seeing this now? I don't know if you can see it.
Yep, yep.
Okay, so I have right now I installed Nick Collection, and I can use those filters, and I have Topaz. If I go to, so Topaz, I have denoise and sharpen set up in here. And because they're AI, which means artificial intelligence, they do such a good job of denoising and sharpening that I pretty much, well, I don't do any sharpening anymore the old way. I pretty much always use Topaz. The only problem with Topaz is you do need a fairly fast computer. And I believe you have to have a video card to use Topaz. So it's quite power hungry, but it works so well. It really does.
So when you have a task there that says unsharpen mask, what is that
Yes.
doing?
Topaz?
What is that doing?
Well, it uses artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I know.
So basically, huh?
Sorry.
So basically what it does is they have thousands and thousands of photos that they've taken, and they've added it into their engine. And what Topaz does is it looks at your photos and it says, oh, okay, this looks like it's supposed to be this. And what it'll do is it'll replicate whatever it thinks it should look like. It doesn't always work, but it knows through artificial intelligence what it's supposed to look like. And it tries to make it look like that. I mean, I can do a quick sample here if you want to see.
No, I thought there might be a simpler solution for me because I was still hung up on this business about sharpening is not improving an out of focus photograph. And
No.
I could not see the impact of sharpening. And then I saw also on one of the, I don't know what the right terminology is, you had unsharpened. And I thought,
Yeah,
well,
unsharpened
what is that
mask.
doing? Hmm?
It's the same thing. It sharpens. I was going to show something else, which is sharpening as well. Doing in our layers here, I can go to and it does the whole. So if I go to live filter layer and I go sharpen, I can go to high pass.
There's the unsharp mask.
Yeah, unsharp mask is there too. But this is another way. What this does is if I increase the rate, you can't see it now, but if I really crank it up, you can see.
Yeah.
If I turn that down so that it's barely visible, what it's going to do is it's going to sharpen everything that has lots of detail. So what I do is I go there, and then you have to go into blend mode. And in blend mode, I choose, let's see, linear light.
Colin, when you use the word contrast,
Soft
to me
light.
that makes sense in the sense that it's making it more dominant and standing out more. Is
Yeah,
that
just hang on a sec. Let me just find this first.
not
before
understanding the terminology? I think I'm probably
Okay.
holding up everybody else who understands.
Just a sec. Linear light. There we go. So if I choose linear light with high pass, this is working on the high frequencies and all. Where is it gone? High pass. If I click it off and I'll zoom in. So this is high. So if I click it off and on, you can see what it does. Can you see the difference?
Yes, it's almost like a specular thing.
Yeah, well, those are drops of water that are showing up when I do it. But high pass will only sharpen things that have lots of detail, and you control.
Go back and forth again, just like I got.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now it's off.
Yeah.
And now it's on.
Okay. All right. All right.
So you can see.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Right. Yes, it is. Thank you.
Yeah. So basically, those are the two ways. Generally, I don't use high pass that much, but if you want to sharpen a whole picture without sharpening like the background, the high pass works quite well because it'll only work on the details in the photo. Anyway.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah.
For me.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question about Affinity V Photoshop. I used to have Photoshop, and when I wanted to transfer an object from one image to another, like a bird onto sky, I used to be able to show I used to be able to show the two images on the screen at the same time, use the lasso tool or similar round the bird, and literally drag it onto the image of the sky, and then work on it from there. I could move it around the sky, etc. Now, am I correct in saying that in Affinity, you are not able to do that, because what you showed earlier on this evening seemed to be a lot more long-winded than what I was able to do with Photoshop?
Okay, as far as I know, you can't do that, but I mean, it's really not that hard. Basically, what you do, you just select the object. In this case, I'll select this guy. Oh, I got to go on the background there. That's why it's not working. Anyway, or let's just unclick these. A sec. Go down there. So, yeah, anyway, you just select the object and you copy it, edit, copy, you copy it, and then you select where you want the picture to go. I want it to go here, edit, paste. Okay, and there it is. So it's simple.
Great.
So it's, and then you can adjust it from there. But yeah, it's not hard.
That's helped me a lot. Thanks very much
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Anybody
everybody.
else?
Sorry, I'm afraid we're running out of time, and I've booked it till 9:30, and I'm just worried that all of a sudden everything will go clunk.
Oh, okay.
And shut down.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions? I know Roberta asked one here. Just a minute, I got to go back up here. She's a little confused about editing in Lightroom. She says, when you're in Lightroom, oh no, that was my thing. Do you have to import to the, like when you're editing from Lightroom into Affinity, and then you finish editing and you send the file back to Lightroom, are you saying it doesn't save the Affinity history?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but the thing that it does do though is it's when you export to Lightroom and you do your editing, as soon as you hit File and Save, it will save it back to Lightroom.
Okay.
So whatever changes you've made goes back into Lightroom. You don't have to do anything else. It just shows up in Lightroom as a TIFF file.
As a completed file. Okay.
Yeah, as a TIFF file. Yeah.
All right.
So,
But without the history.
But without the
Without
history,
Lightroom's
exactly.
history.
No,
Yeah.
without Affinity history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, everybody. Thank you, Colin.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Colin.
And just so
Yeah.
you all know, Affinity is on sale. I'm going to put my camera back on. Colin, you could take your share screen off if you wanted. If
Yeah.
you don't mind. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, sorry about the mix up there. I hope everybody enjoyed it though, and you got something out of it. So
It's a pretty
hopefully
amazing
it wasn't.
program.
Yeah, hopefully it wasn't a waste of time.
No,
Yeah,
no.
Colin, one of the things that
That's very good.
I
Thanks.
was quite impressed with Affinity was its stacking ability.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It is amazing. It's really amazing.
And
It's
very
just,
quick.
yeah. 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 And
Thank
again,
you, Colin. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. Just remember that all these programs require horsepower in your computer. So depending on what you're doing, you might want to think about, like if you want to get Topaz, make sure that your computer can handle it, because a lot of computers have trouble.
Or downsize the size of the file that your camera's producing.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, the other thing you can do, just so you know, this is one of the tutorials in Affinity Photo. With a JPEG file, if you reduce the quality, even if you reduce it like 5%, the size of the file goes way down. Like it can go down like, if you reduce it by 5%, the size might go down by like 50%. So it's quite amazing if you want to reduce the file size, just tweak the quality on your JPEG image.
One thing I want to ask is, do they still have a demo version?
I believe they do. Yeah, I believe they do. But I mean, for $39 or whatever it is, I would just buy it. I mean, of course, it's up to you. No, I think they do still have a demo version. Yeah. Yeah, you can try it out. Sure. And also, just so you know, Affinity also has 2 other programs. They have a publishing program. So if you want to publish a photo book or publish any other kind of book, it's really good. It's comparable to, I believe, Adobe's version. And also they have a vector program called, it's like Illustrator, but it's called Designer. And so you can do all kinds of vector manipulation with Affinity Designer. So there's 3 programs they have, and they're all on sale right now. So I have the publishing one as well in case I want to publish a photo book.
Okay, everybody. I'm going to call it a night again. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks.
it.
Thanks very much, Colin.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, our next meeting is on March the 4th.
Is that next
And-
week?
No, 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
And it is going to be projected images, and our judge is
Derek Hayes.
Derek Hayes. Thank you. Yes, Derek. Hello, Tony. Derek Hayes.
Okay.
And if Colin, if people have questions, can they email you?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you got the
I've
email there.
got the information, so I can relay it through if you want or something like
Sure.
that.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Well, thanks everybody for attending.
Everybody stay safe.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good night.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Colin.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye-bye. Yeah, thanks for.
Colin, you've still got
Yes.
record going. I don't know if
Oh,
you
yes.
realize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.